Okay, namaste. Good morning, everyone. Not yet. Yes, no, that's Sheila. Yeah, so what you could do, you are maroon to set it up. Yeah, sure. So they're gonna start streaming. Yeah, so you can set that one and then I'll start. Okay. Namaste, Sitaram. Good morning, everyone. So it's about a few seconds before 10. I think they're going to start the live stream now. So we have from 10 to 11 when we do the ceremony here, and then they will take the body at 11, which indicated to us promptly at 11. So we'll go through the process now, right? So we're just going to do some mantras to bring closure to the late Sheila Rampersad, right? So we'll all stand, please. We'll do opening mantras and take the sankalp. Om. Om. Om Shanno Mitra Shan Varuna Shanu Bhavat Varyama Shanna Indro Vrihaspati Shanno Vishnu Rukamaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayu Tvamiva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvamiva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmam Avatu Tadvaktaram Avatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Hari Om. So you can all sit now, please. So we'll now do some purificatory steps. Om Apavitra Pavitrava Sarvabhastanga Piva Yasmarit Pundarikaksham Savahya Bhyantara Shuchihi Om Shri Vishnu, Om Shri Vishnu, Om Shri Vishnu, Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha, Hari Om. So, wait, hold on. So you just hold this. So I just say a sankalp, I say a sankalp and then you just put this. Sankalp is just stating the time and space that we are in, that we are going to do this ceremony. Yes, Antyesti samskara. So we're doing this, it's called the Antyesti samskara. So in our lives we have many samskaras. They're called impressions. Impressions that we put on, give to our children. So it starts from before conception, right? Your parents would have done that for you. And then when we send our children off to school, we give them love and we comb their hair and we hug them up and we send them off with a nice way to go to school. So in the same way, this is the Antyesti samskara, the end, anta, at the end of life. And we're going to send her off with good thoughts and good impressions as she goes on to meet with her Lord, her Maker, and then she will continue in her karma as she goes on to moksha. So now we'll do our sankalp. Om. So the sankalp is just taking this space and time and seeing what we're going to do. Om Tat Sat Shri Brahmano Dvitiye Parardha Vaishwasvanvantari Ashta Vishanti Tame Kali Yuge Kalipatame Charane Asmin Samvatsari Asmin Masi Asmin Pakshe Asmin Vasare Ayam Tito Asmin Nakshatre Asmin Karane Asmin Yogi Asmin Poraspe Nagare Trinidad Deshe Aham Adya Sheila Rampersad Nama Antyesti samskara Karishye. So you just offer that in the box there. Thank you. Okay, good. So now we'll just offer some flowers. So give them the first mala. Om. Yeah. And then you burn yours. Om Mata Pushpa Mala. Actually, you go. Right, sir. All right, you just did the eye. So, this one. You just do the art. Yeah.
You have to walk around 3 times?
No, you just the right there. You just the right there. Do the wrong. Om Natatrasuyo Bhaji Nachandra Tarakam Nema Vidyuto Bhaji Kudeva Magnihi Tameva Bandhavan Bhaji Sarvam Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati Om Arajitam Samarpayami. So if there's anyone who wants to do arti at this time, put flowers, we have flowers there. You could come up as well, right? Om Natatrasuyo Bhaji Nachandra Tarakam Nema Vidyuto Bhaji Kudeva Magnihi Tame Bhavantamanuvati Sarvam Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati. So that also reminds us of how we should live as well, right? So while those of you who want to do arti, you could come up now and I will sing a bhajan, Ajan Dere. So if you know the bhajan, you could also sing along, right? So what this bhajan is telling us of the time today, the world is enveloped in darkness, and we ask the Supreme Being to dispel that darkness from our lives and to guide us on the way forward. The first thing we do when we are born, we take a breath, and we breathe like that, probably 15 to 20 times per minute, and when we die, we'll give up that breath. In between that time of our life, from birth to death, we want to make sure that whatever we do on this planet, it makes the place a better place when we leave it. And I think she would have done that wonderfully with her family and what she would have done for her country and wherever she would have interacted, right? So in this bhajan, it's saying the same thing. So if there's anyone who wants to offer flowers and arti at this time, you could come and do so while I sing this first bhajan. आज अंधेरे में है हम इंसान, ज्ञान का सूरज चमका रे भगवान। आज अंधेरे में है हम इंसान, ज्ञान का सूरज चमका रे भगवान। भटक रहे हम राह दिखा रे भगवान, राह दिखा रे। कदम कदम पर किरण दिखा रे भगवान, किरण दिखा रे। इन अखियों को प्रभु करा दे ज्योति से पहचान, ज्योति से पहचान। अंधेरे में है हम इंसान, ज्ञान का सूरज चमका दे भगवान। हम तो है संतान तिहारे, प्रभु संतान तिहारे, तेरी दया के हम अधिकारे, प्रभु हे हम अधिकारे। दुनिया हो ये सुखी हमारे, ऐसा रे वरदान, ऐसा रे वरदान। आज अंधेरे में है हम इंसान, ज्ञान का सूरज चमका रे भगवान। Okay, so now we just have Vicar now will now have he has a letter to read to you all on behalf of his mother, so you can come up.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for coming, everyone. I know that a lot of people who would have liked to be here were not able to, but these are tough times for everybody. One thing I do want to say is Mom had a very good life. She was a happy person. She enjoyed life. She looked back on her life when I was talking to her about going down the islands, playing all four. She loved her mass. And that's one of her most treasured memories. Family, being with people, cookouts, and just enjoying herself with the family. She's very family-oriented. I have a letter here from Nicholas. Nicholas and Jonathan lived really close to us, so she looked at Nicholas as another son. And he just sent us a letter, which couldn't be here, obviously, but I'm going to read it now. Auntie Sheila, these words conjure up a whole world of memories and feelings. Anyone who knew her understands what I mean. For me, the most powerful of those feelings was love. She loved her family dearly, and that included her nephews and nieces. You always felt special when you were around her, and she would make sure that you were taken care of and happy. Even when you were a child, she was interested in what you had to say, and she was always supportive and encouraging. Those qualities were also part of what made her a loved and respected teacher, as she cared for her students and their well-being in the same way. There were times when we would just talk, and I always enjoyed hearing her stories about the family when she was growing up in Sangre Grande, and also her time in the university in England. The latter in particular exemplified her much self-assured, inspired, and determined nature that would see her achieve so much. Among her many talents was a love for painting, at which she was very accomplished and prolific, and her art adorned the walls of many houses. Those pieces should be treasured as a wonderful and lasting memory of her, as they are full of her character, vibrance, and vision. Another distinct talent was a culinary skill. In the Trinidad, she could real cook. That applied to anything that was Mars cooking, as well as dishes from anywhere else around the world. My taste buds remember them all very fondly, and I wish for those delicious flavors again. I would have to say that my fondest memories were all the times we spent laughing and joking with her and all the family members at 26 Trinidad Crescent. Her wit, laughter, and smile were infectious, and everyone who just stopped by would be drawn in by the merriment of the household. That pure and consuming happiness and the feeling of belonging to one big family was what I remember most. For that joy was how she affected us all. Thank you, Nicholas, for those words. Varun will now do the eulogy.
All right, so you can put your computer up here, right? Yes, yes. Right. So,
This is how it ends, huh? Alone in the box, about to become ashes. It seems so casual, so dismissive. An exit that bears no reflection to the large life Sheila lived. A life that took her from a small town in East Trinidad to almost every continent on the earth. A life that touched many with lasting and positive impact. It's a life I'd like to celebrate today. It began on July 29, 1932, the fifth of 8 children of the legendary Ma and Pa Bisundat of Sangre Grande. Sheila started her journey with a relatively small step, from Sangre Grande to Port of Spain to attend St. Joseph's Convent. And from there, a very big step to University of Exeter in England, a place she had never been, where she knew virtually no one, and to live in a house she suspected was haunted. As I look at it now, I am amazed at the bravery of that move. Setting aside her fear of ghosts, imagine getting on a boat and heading across the Atlantic Ocean to a strange place, knowing that she would not see her family for at least 3 years. That must have been daunting. But like life, all of life's journeys, it opened doors. And this one led her to meet her future husband, Frank. They were married shortly after she returned from Exeter and set up home first in Currep before moving to Pity Valley. She started work at the Caribbean Commission and shortly after welcomed her first son, Vic. After a brief stint of international travel as part of Frank's job, they returned to Trinidad to live, and the second son, me, joined them. Then the dream of living in Federation Park came true. For decades, the family lived at 26 Trinidad Crescent and formed a lifelong friendship with the Mansour neighbors. In the late 1980s, they moved to 2 St. Vincent Avenue, a house Sheila designed and built, where they lived until Frank's passing, at which point she moved to Flagstaff. Professionally, Sheila was a teacher. She began at Dunross Preparatory School in 1967, where she stayed until the early 1990s, a tenure interrupted only by brief stints on trips to England. Good teachers help build good lives, and Sheila was universally acknowledged as being an excellent educator. Parents, fellow teachers, and students alike applauded the positive impact she had. And by the way, she wasn't an easy teacher. She was pretty direct. She once wrote in a student's report card to her parents, "She works according to her moods, and her good moods are few and far between." Years after she retired, many students would recognize her and remember her fondly and with appreciation for her part in helping them build the lives that they now enjoy. But teaching was only one facet of her life. Sheila also raised 2 children, 2 boys, and she ensured they lacked for nothing and they had the best education possible. She was a supportive and devoted wife to her husband in his many endeavors, and a key reason for his major success in life. With him, she traveled the world, covering places such as San Francisco, Paris, Tokyo, Malaysia, Algeria, Malawi, Zimbabwe, New Zealand, Australia, and Brazil. She joined my dad at various international meetings, interacting with dignitaries from around the world. And she attended functions as the guest of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II at both Buckingham Palace and on the Royal Yacht Britannia. But for all the glamour and mixing in high society, Sheila was not a social climber. She put more value on the content of a person's character than the rank that they held. She put family first, going to great lengths to ensure that everyone's needs were catered to. You would know this, and so would Nicholas. Holidays were celebrated to the fullest, and the household was run efficiently. Some of her fondest times were just spent with her husband and kids, playing games, going on holidays, or just hanging around. She was a dog lover, especially Thor and Flash, the dogs we got when we came back from England in 1978. Now, as Sarah would know, Thor was a regular down the islands, and Flash was accorded a chair of his own to sleep on inside the house. She felt sorry for him having a black coat in the Trinidad heat. Sheila was a competitive player of many games, especially all fours and Scrabble, an avid mass player for many years, and a prolific and talented artist. Sheila also loved her plants. Whether it was Trinidad Crescent with the oleander and the Barbados Pride and multiple fruit trees, or St. Vincent Avenue with its extensive lawns and many varieties of hibiscus, or Flagstaff with her palms, she took great pride in them and ensured they thrived. Now that said, botany wasn't always her strongest suit. One time in Trinidad Crescent, she inadvertently began to cultivate a marijuana plant, finding it attractive but not really knowing what it was. When Bal Ramdial, a family friend who was also the conservator of forests, identified it to her in a very Trinidadian way. But hey, Sheila, since when you're planting ganja? Well, at that moment, the much loved and carefully nurtured plant was unceremoniously uprooted, cut into pieces, and flung into the garbage. It was replaced by a rather tragic-looking cactus, which my mother justified to Sarah as, well, at least I know what it is. While she was a mother and wife, first and foremost, Sheila loved family and had a tight bond with her siblings Mona, Harry, Ruth, Kristen, Leela, Vidya, Ash, and their kids. She became an integral member of the Rampersad family. Indeed, Dominic, Krish, and Vish are like sons to her. Sheila had many friends, but special among them were Michael and Radhika Dalsing, who along with Ranji and Sarah Dalsing and their kids were central to many good times down the islands, including a number of cutthroat all-fours games. Now, in those times, Sheila and Radhika were an extremely, how should I say this diplomatically, effective all-fours partners who came up with a chorus of next to announce yet another opponent had been vanquished. She embraced the times together. There were others who were dear to her as well, Kathy and Nish Galbaransing and their kids, as well as lifelong friends Sita Shah, Catherine Mansour, and Bal and Ruby Ramdial. Sheila organized many fun times in Federation Park. There were family and niece and nephew lunches, with Frank supplying the barbecue, which would start at noon and end after midnight. And there were the many limes in the porches of Trinidad Crescent and St. Vincent Avenue, telling stories, debating politics, generally having a good time. With friends and family dropping in virtually every day of the week, it was a time when the house was overflowing with life, love, and laughter. Later in Flagstaff, after Frank passed, it got a bit quieter. The large groups morphed into more smaller collections of people and non-stop Scrabble tournaments with her sister Leela. She loved to reminisce about long time, life in Sangre Grande, and times with her siblings and parents. And she was delighted to be a part of the Bihari Singh reunion that traced her family's arrival from India. In this time in Flagstaff, she also reconnected with university friends and resumed painting, branching out from oils to watercolors. And through it all, if my brother and I ever needed anything, she'd stop and move heaven and earth to get it. Growing old is hard. It robs you of your energy. Things that were once done effortlessly become a chore. And the speed of change today can be confusing. With declining health and mobility and the aging of her friends and relatives, Sheila became increasingly isolated in her final years, especially during COVID. There were two bright spots. Her guru, Sri Vasudeva, was a source of comfort and divine inspiration until her end. And when she needed it most, Marina Gomez came to help. Marina is not related to Sheila. She knew nothing about her when she met her. However, she became one of the most loved people in her life. The care, the kindness, and patience she showed in taking care of Sheila was exemplary. She had the insight to recognize that sometimes a lioness roars because that's all she can do. She had the sensitivity to know when to stand her ground, and she also knew when to spring into action. Through her goodness and devotion, Marina embedded herself not only into my mom's heart, but also to mine. So as I say goodbye to my mom, I reflect on all she did for me. Her and my dad's belief in me gave me the confidence to succeed in life and navigate the ultra-competitive landscape that was Wall Street, that is Wall Street. Through her, I came to learn that I learned from writing, and she got me to be okay with the fact I couldn't draw. Her gift never passed to me. She taught me simple yet powerful things. Always put things back where they belong. I never lose my keys. I follow that. She introduced me to horse racing at the Queen's Park Savannah. I think you'll remember the first race with, I believe, Princely Paul beating Penny Opera in the Trinidad Turf Club Cup in 1974. And my mom taught me the importance of being genuine and knowing your value. She imparted this lesson to me in many ways, but most memorably with the sage advice: don't take shit from anybody and don't kiss anybody's ass. Can't be any more direct than that. She was a woman who was clear in what she thought and was not afraid to express it. But there was so much more she did. She reminded me to be kind even when impatience would get the better of me. She celebrated my accomplishments and made sure I knew she was proud of me. She always pushed me to look for my better angels, no matter how challenging the situation. She made me feel first in her life and confident of her love. Simply put, she was a great mom. And with that, I want to close with two thoughts. Since arriving here, and I've said this to some of you, since arriving here, my brother and I have been at Flagstaff, and there is no trace of her spirit there. Sheila has left the building. She'd been wanting to go for some time, and I guess when she got the chance, she took it. No waiting for anybody. And as she would say, who vex lose? And I don't blame her one bit. Second, also since Monday, a song has been going through my mind. It's from the Broadway musical Pocahontas, which I never saw. Kind of familiar with some of the songs, but I never saw it. But the song asks, did you paint with all the colors of the wind? Did you paint with all the colors of the wind? Think you did, Mom. Think you did. Godspeed. I love you. I'm proud of you. Thank you.
So she indeed lived a full life, as we heard from Varun. So now it's custom that we chant from the Bhagavad Gita. So I'll sing a bhajan first, asking Lord Krishna to hear our plea, to take her in his shelter and take her towards moksha, or liberation from this continuous cycle of birth and death. For those of you who know the bhajan, you can join in. Shri Krishna Chandra Maharaj Prabhu Binati Itani Suniye Suniye Jinaki Kuchahe Avalambanahi Tinaki Charana Rakhiye Rakhiye Isaki Avagun Navahutirhe Yahi Bar Shama Kariye Kariye Dina Dayalu Pita Tumahi Nijadham Isako Chahiye Chahiye Moksha Daya Binaho Tanahi Chahi Koti Prabhabandha Kariye Bhavasagadha Rabahu गई कोई नाव वहाँ चाहिए चाहिए सिया राम के नाम का नाव बना बिन पारिश श्राम तरिए तरिए ये मित्र का जीव के सुधरो गति निज दास बंद गनिए गनिए कोई ब्राट तुम्हार करे विनती दय भगवान करिए करिए श्री कृष्ण चंद्र महाराज प्रभु बिनती इतनी सुनिए सुनिए बिनती इतनी सुनिए सुनिए. So at this point now, so you could have a look at the body and so on. Those of you who didn't see the body as yet, just before they take the body in, we'll say some final mantras, but that's just before they go into the fire. Usually we will do this at the cremation grounds and we'll have that availability with the fire. But I do think it's possible here. So just before they put the body in, we'll do some final mantras just to send it off to the fire. Agni will take the body and bring it to ashes, sending it back to the 5 elements, right? So for now we'll just associate, we could look at the body and we could have talk with the family and so on, right? Okay? This is yours. Okay, so what we have done the final part there. So we're just waiting for them to take the body off. So that's all we could do now for the departed. So we'll say a closing prayer for us and for everybody else and for the society, right? Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Kaschit Dukhabhag Bhavit. Om Mangalam Bhagwan Vishnu, Mangalam Garudajuja, Mangalam Pundarikaksham, Mangalaya Tanu Hari. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyati Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyati. So that final mantra is saying, everything is full, everything is complete. And if you take something out of that which is full, that which you have taken out is also full, just like her two children who would have been born from her. And so everything goes back into that oneness, which is also full, right? So everything comes from that one. So that one which created everything, and then from that one, everything goes back too, okay? And that's the science of it. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Hari Om. So what you could also do now as we get ready to send the body off, send your good thoughts, this final sanskar to her in your own way. Send this final sanskar, so wherever she is going, let that go with happiness and joy, and may she be happy where she is going now. Okay. Hari Om. Nice. So probably sometime we'll meet again. That's how karma. Yeah, I might come because I'm coming to meet Jan. Shazad, the same guy I told you. We went to school from 5 years old to now, and we united about.
Still in touch?
Yeah, we united through WhatsApp and Facebook and things, right? So now that we have met, we realize we're getting old, and some of them are going on to the other side. So what we have started to do is have a little reunion, or when we could go to meet somebody, we go and meet them, you know? And that's what we've been doing for the past few years. But COVID has given a little dullness to it. But we'll get there, don't worry. Some point in time we'll get around.